Meeting of the Centreville Town Council. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Council, in your packets, you have the minutes from our last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Move approval as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Now we'll read a closed session statement from earlier this evening. The Town Council met in closed session on Thursday, January 18th, 2024 at 6:15 p.m. at the Liberty Building, 107 North Liberty Street, second floor meeting room, to discuss the acquisition of real property and consult with council regarding a legal matter in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. 4 members of the Town Council voted to close the session. The authority to close the session is found in Section 3305 of the General Provisions article. The Town Council discussed the following topics: the acquisition of real property. We discussed acquiring a piece of property in town. Consult with council. We discussed legal options for code enforcement. There was no action taken. The following members and staff were present: Ashley H. Kaiser, President; Daniel B. Worth, Jim A. Beecham, and Jeffrey D. Keel, members; Shannon Van Emberg, Town Attorney; Carolyn Brinkley, Town Manager; and Karen Luffman, Finance Officer. The meeting adjourned at 6:44 p.m. Okay, we will move on to appearances. Do we have? Okay, Ms. Pirro and Jim, would you mind swearing her in?
No, I won't mind at
Thank
all.
you. Appreciate that. Okay, come on up. We'll get you sworn in.
Oh.
All right, you'll, when I say I, you'll say your name. So I, repeat after me, please.
Elizabeth Parra,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
member of the Town of Centreville Board of Supervisors of Elections
Way too much.
member of the Town of Centreville Board of Supervisors of Elections
for a 3-year term
for a 3-year term
expiring April 2026,
expiring April of 2026,
according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
and the laws of this state,
and the laws of this state,
the town charter,
the town charter,
laws and ordinances of the Town of Centreville.
laws and ordinance of the town of Centreville.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much.
We're going to ask her to sign this, yes?
Yes.
Or Betty Jean
Betty
has
Jean's
one.
got a copy.
Jean's got it.
Thank you.
Either one.
Thank you so much for putting up with me.
Of course.
Awesome, thank you so much. Okay, we will now move into a citizens forum. Citizens are requested to keep their comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any citizens that wish to address the council? Okay. None. Moving on to new business, the disposition of excess town properties, a discussion Councilmember Worth wants to have.
Yes. Rather than outright selling any excess properties that we might identify, one in particular is the Pennsylvania Avenue property is of particular interest to some members of the Planning Commission, and they would like to work on a RFP to see what can be done with the property. The idea being if nothing was acceptable, there's no commitment to accept anything as a result of that process. And if we were to ask the planning commission to work on this, so we not constrain it in any way, that they could come up with whatever they wanted to do, whether it be, I mean, it might require we do own the property, we turn the property over to some developer. Maybe they want money, maybe they don't, maybe they want to give us money. It's hard to say what's going to happen, okay?
Right.
So, just make it wide open. I would, normally for something like this, we would just ask town staff to do it, but in this case, we're going to have volunteers work on it. I think we would need to approve whatever RFP they come up with before it goes out on the street, and then also they would make recommendations, which we would have to approve. They would not be the final authority on either part of the process. So,
What does the comp plan say about that particular?
it's, okay, well, that particular property is due to be rezoned CBD. And also there's some changes to the CBD code, which would allow multi-family dwellings, not only above a store, that can be done without a storefront. So those parts of the code would need to be modified, or perhaps they could be included in the request that those changes are going to be made to the town code. Since in the comprehensive plan, there
Would be an option part of a developer agreement, is what you're saying.
right.
Yeah.
You're envisioning an RFP for developers to propose what they might do. Should we be willing to either give them the property, enter some sort of ground lease joint venture situation?
Right. Yeah, most likely we would be giving the property to them, yeah.
Yes,
This is great.
Okay.
I like
Right.
it.
I've had a vision for that property to in some ways mirror what's across Pennsylvania.
Look for Jim's proposal.
And I've had a tagline to it about no government allowed. Because as beautiful as the square is, it's difficult for any commercial enterprise to get traction because of all the government entities that are here. It limits what they can do viably, commercially. So that was an area that I thought would be great. And you want to come up and tell us what you're thinking? Would love for you to.
Come on up.
Please. Thanks for
I
coming.
had hoped you were here to liven up citizen comment, but this is just as good.
I figured I'd wait until this. I'm just kind of here, this was something that was kind of put on the wish list by one of our planning commission members, and given the overhaul, well, not overhaul, but the updates to the ordinances, the zoning code that need to happen, and the subdivision regulations on the zoning map, and then the comprehensive plan does address a lot of that. The attention to that particular parcel being rezoned to be able to possibly mimic what's across the street. Now, there are some things that the town would have to consider in bringing it, in hearing or putting out an RFP, which there was a PWA that was executed between the property owners on the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue, requiring them to construct a total of, I believe it's 80 parking spaces on the town-owned property at their expense. So the need for that parking spaces, that could be something that could be reassessed, but the reality is that the intent of that was not only to satisfy the parking of those of that line of buildings on that side, but also to serve as in a public parking capacity. So I don't necessarily think that it's a big parcel. I didn't actually pull all of the specs on it, but it's conceivable that with the proposed changes in the comp plan, something like mixed, again, commercial residential and or also like blocks of individual townhomes that would allow for parking on those individual sites. you know, and then also allow for some of that public parking on the site itself. I personally, I mean, I don't know if it's insurmountable to do something like that. First steps would be, obviously, we need to make the changes to the zoning code before, you know, I think it would make sense for us to be making changes to the zoning code, and that would kind of allow us to, I don't know, curate a little bit better what it is that the town wants to see there, and give a little bit more of better guidelines on what we want to see from developers if they are going to, you know, put time and expense into putting together proposals to us, because, you know, that's not cheap to do. So, but that's about it. So we just kind of wanted to take your temperature on what you guys thought about that before we, you know, move forward and start to pull some more research. And
I think it's great.
Yes.
We did, there was, I don't remember if you were involved with it, Kara, or not. There was, do you remember, I don't know, maybe 2015 or so, there was a plan made for that property. A couple different suggestions, one mirrored across the street and some other ones. It was part, I think, of the Maryland Heritage Areas grant we had. That, I think that was, they were the same ones who did the plan for the Wharf Park.
Yes.
So, I mean, just not saying to use that, I'm just saying that is,
now that you're
you
saying
know.
that, that does sound familiar. Was that before or after the town took over to purchase the property from the railroad?
Oh,
We owned
we've
it at
had
the time,
that,
yeah.
we've
We
had
owned it
that
at the
for a
time,
long
but the
Okay,
parking
okay.
agreement you mentioned had not been executed yet.
Okay, all right. Well, that's something we can look into.
I mean, and you can always look at it and maybe
Yeah.
when you're looking at RFPs or what, you know, I don't know, maybe ideas to look at it.
And I honestly don't know if the planning commission should be playing the role of reviewing or, you know, negotiating RFPs. That's something that we haven't really figured out yet.
We
This is
certainly want
definitely
your, we certainly want your input on it,
Yeah,
you
this is
know,
a-
with that, yeah.
Idea generation about what would work there,
Yeah,
what would
yeah.
benefit the town there would be, that is in your lane.
Yes, yeah, definitely, but as far as the, getting down into the nuts and bolts,
Right.
we'll hand it back over to you guys. So, okay.
Then, as far as this parking agreement, that, I mean, that's, we could choose to amend a
Yes.
PWA,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That, the Public Works Agreement does state that that is able to be amended, and then I believe, well, I'm not sure the timeline on that, on the change that was made to, I don't know if it's the design standards or in the code itself, that the Planning Commission has the ability to modify parking, or to relieve parking requirements for site plan proposals. So that could be maybe a tool that could be used if need be. And probably also it's worth maybe doing an informal study on how much parking actually is being utilized. You know, what's across the street right now, I don't think it's gonna get any more built out than it is, and all of those apartments are full. So, does it require 80 parking spaces over there? I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of open space over there that isn't, you know, so that's something else that we can explore, but this is a baby step before we start taking bigger half steps.
People might find another place to park their boats or whatever, or trailers, so.
Oh,
No, I mean, consider a proposal for large item storage.
Yeah, and I mean,
There actually are right now that we're,
Yeah.
actually, we're getting ready to, yeah, enforce, because I
Other
didn't
topic.
realize how many trailers and, yeah.
Other topic entirely.
Yeah, it's intense over there.
And-
Okay.
And that being said, there could be some other properties owned by the town that you might want to kind of consider, maybe, is this worth redeveloping somehow? And, you know, I don't know, give us a list of things that you might want to see, what we can do with it, or what we can come up with, and then we can, you know, the comp plan also talks about establishing a historical district commission within certain boundaries within the CBD. There's also the building out the existing design standards a little bit more to talk a little bit more about what we want to see in future CBD development. So these are tools that we can use. And as we're writing that language, having an idea of what you guys might want to see out of that is always helpful. So I don't know if that comes down to informal feedback, back and forth, or maybe some work sessions, or, just tell us what you want to do.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anything else on excess town properties? No? Okay. Trash contract. You have a memo from the town manager in your packet. Our current contract is set to end, and then we go into renewal options. The town staff is requesting consensus from us to approve preparing documents for a new bid, or to continue with a one-year extension with our current contract. What a week for them to be late picking up my trash. I'm okay with either. Last time we did a bid, it was before I was on the council, but it was like horrible.
$1,000 difference, something like that.
More than that.
Maybe you're $100,000.
So do we have a recommendation from town staff on which of these options you'd prefer?
I would put it out to bid.
You would put it out to bid?
Yes, just,
And then we still have our option,
yes.
How long have they had the contract? Is it
3 years.
3 years.
3 years?
How many complaints have we had since they have a number?
We probably don't have an exact number, no, but
A lot? Has it been, well,
Of complaints?
I was on council when we negotiated this, and this was one of two of the most miserable negotiations, trying to find the right formula
Yeah.
that was affordable and serve the community. It was, I don't know the exact word you used, but yeah, it was no fun.
yeah.
The fact that it's mid-January and the thing ends at the end of June,
well, and I think when we
I think the
originally,
extension is going to be,
when we originally
a
did it,
necessity.
we were going away from Bates. I think that's who we had before Bates. Yeah, we were trying to come up with the right formula of automatic pickup or, so that took a long time to figure out. But I think we have the groundwork of what we can we can't have the automatic
right.
pickup.
And now that we have the recycled containers, that simplified life, the fact that the town provided them.
So let's, I guess, put it out for bid and then we'll go
We'll
from
see
there.
what we, okay.
Would be curious to know the current volume of complaints. It feels publicly less, but maybe they're calling more, so I don't know.
They still call.
We get a lot of calls?
The past couple of weeks have been a high volume of calls.
Well, yeah, with the snow and everything, it was,
Holidays.
Yeah.
and I called this week, so.
But prior to that, it was running pretty smooth. Only a few calls into our office. I don't know whether residents had started calling directly to Chesapeake, but we were receiving less calls at the office.
They're calling Jackie now? Okay. So if we could talk to her too. I mean, I remain concerned about the times that I've just personally seen them put recycling and trash in the same truck. And then at one point, when I said something to them, they told me the town told them to do that. And I was like, no, I don't think so.
No, from our understanding is that if something is put in a recycle container that is not supposed to be in there, then it is automatically,
Dirty, you do not recycle.
no, you can't recycle it.
Contaminates the whole truck. It contaminates the whole truck?
Yes, if they tip it. But the time I'm talking about was a holiday weekend. The last time I talked to them about it was a holiday weekend and they were making a choice.
Yeah, no, the town's never told them.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. I do think we need to continue to do more education on what is and is not recyclable.
And that may have changed through the years as well.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
Good luck, I can't keep my kids straight on what pizza boxes always end up in there. It's like, come on, you can't, it's food.
Well-
It's food.
You know, Domino's did print on their pizza boxes
Yeah,
for the last
exactly.
year that they're
It's
recyclable, despite the fact that they're not.
Yeah.
At least not here. Some places they are, here they are not. So, okay, yeah, so there you go. All right, next we have a resolution related to FMLA. Assume that's you.
Good evening. a little bit of background. I know in 2013, we actually had the FMLA policy in our personnel manual. It was removed during one of the updates, and we're just wishing to reestablish inputting the FMLA policy as well as procedures, and to also document the form in the resolution. So we're just asking to have your approval, I guess, to reestablish this FMLA policy into the personnel manual.
Just fell off an error at some point, or?
No, at the time, even as a covered employer, a number of employees we had was under 50. But I can tell you that we're getting, with 42 employees now, we're on the cusp. So I'd prefer to have that in there and start those procedures and get everything smooth moving to start tracking when the time comes. This is also going to lead into another resolution later on when we have the paid family medical leave through the state, so.
It's a resolution, so we can act on this now. Are there any questions?
The
about this?
language you've used here, this is some sort of boilerplate that's legislated, is that right, or mandated?
Well, for the federal, yes. Are you talking about the federal law with the resolution of the wording, or the actual policy that's in
Policy.
here? Yeah, so the policy, the only thing that's actually removed from it is the 50 employees, because we're going to be implementing it as a covered employer. I know we're doing more.
So we're going to offer employees FMLA despite not being legally required to do so, is what you're asking for?
Basically, the employees would not be eligible for the FMLA if they apply for it now. But we've heard different things from attorneys, and it's convoluted. I mean, we're a covered employer, and if an employee applies for FMLA, because we don't have 50 employees, they would not be eligible for FMLA. However, we have done it years ago when it was in the policy. We were following the FMLA process in tracking people's leave, making sure that everything was documented.
Protecting their jobs, that sort of thing. And so you're suggesting
Yes.
we do that again, even though we
suggesting
don't
that we-
have to?
Yes. I would rather have that in place now so that we are protecting their jobs for up to 12 weeks of paid and unpaid leave.
I mean, I don't see us getting to 50 employees anytime in the near future, so if we do this, it would be just because it's the right thing to do, not because it
Yeah.
is a coming requirement.
So then I guess to me, it's, and this might just be a little in the weeds, but it's not in accordance with federal law. This is a choice. Federal law doesn't apply to us. So it's not really FMLA. This is just like the town's version of FMLA.
We're agreeing to comply with the language of FMLA or something, I guess.
Yeah, I certainly want to protect employees' jobs when they're on medical leave, don't get me wrong. I don't know that I want to put in law that we feel subjected to something that we're not. It's incredibly hard to fire someone when they're on FMLA, and I've had to do it, and it's awful.
Correct. No, and I totally agree with you.
So why would we do that to ourselves and not instead just call it the town's
The town of
paid
Centreville.
family leave policy?
Right.
Or,
And not make it seem like we're doing some federal requirement?
Yeah.
or if it
We have because I have to look through some of the policies. There is what's this, I don't know what it's called, if it's a paid leave, I don't think we have like the paid leave policy, but there is one in there where it's at the discretion of the town manager, allowing an employee to have time off for up to a period of 1 year if needed.
I mean,
So-
even if this said the town recognizes that FMLA doesn't apply to us. We're going to follow similar procedures. Like, to me, the way this reads is like, we believe we're required to do FMLA, so we're going to do it.
Well, we are a covered employer, being government. However, based on this is what I'm understanding. So as a covered employer, we are obligated to follow the federal law of FMLA. However, because we don't have 50 or more employees within a 75-mile radius, if an employee applies for FMLA, they would not be eligible unless we have 50 employees.
Right, no, I gotcha. But,
So,
we're covered, but we're exempt.
exactly.
Okay.
We're covered employer, right, but the employee would not be eligible until we have 50 employees.
so my point is, why write this like they are eligible instead of just saying,
Follow
due
the-
to having fewer than 50 employees, town of Centerville employees are not eligible for FMLA. And in lieu of that, we offer you the town of Centerville's family and medical leave policy. And it's the same thing, but we're just not,
Or we could just.
we could give ourselves some additional
Yeah.
flexibility that FMLA doesn't give you.
So what I was also thinking, because I've been attending the sessions, discussions regarding the Time to Care Act. So with the state's upcoming mandate, it's going to be, it's going to be one employee or more for employers. So we would be held at the state,
So why don't we just wait and do that one?
and yeah.
I mean, is there a rush on this because we think this is gonna come up? And we need to protect some employees, or, I mean, without violating someone's privacy, I'm just saying.
I am the one who asked Crystal about doing this. So this isn't Crystal, this is me, because I was talking to someone and they said, I don't understand why you guys don't have I was not all of the, Crystal has tried to explain this to me. And I was like, well, no, we're eligible. Yes, we are, but no, we're not, or whatever.
Right, no, it's definitely
So-
confusing.
And it
Yeah.
may be that instead of FMLA, it's like an extended medical leave policy that the town has or something like that. You
And to
know
me,
what I
it
mean?
says very little different than this. Like, I guess my point is, I'm good with this, except all the parts that make it seem like we're complying with the federal law, because we're really not.
Well, we
Yeah,
can,
I'm not averse to this, but I am uncomfortable taking any action tonight based on what I'm hearing and seeing.
That's fine.
yeah, that's
Can we
fine.
explore this for a couple weeks and just
That's
try
totally
to?
fine. It's going to be one of those where eventually another resolution will probably come up with the state once the more regulations come out for that, but.
Yeah, and to me, it's like a couple of easy changes of like taking out Family Medical Leave Act of 1993. Just making it our own thing, doing our own form. Just because there are other protections if and town staff's great. I don't think we would have to do this, but I never thought I would have to do this during the day job either. If you have to let someone go because they go out on medical leave and you discover while they're gone something horrible, and you have to let them go, the hoops that one must jump through to fire them while they're on FMLA is painful. And why would we give them any legal standing to say, you fired me while I was on federally protected leave, when we would be firing them really just on town protected leave, and feel a little bit better about that? Give them the full force of the town and not the federal government, maybe.
At least, yeah. So if we want to terminate at least within the 12 weeks, then we can do so. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly
and
wait
I
till the day they
understand.
come back, and but
Well,
it's just not
I know
ideal.
we did have an employee years ago when it was in our personnel manual that after the 12 weeks, the employee still would not return or could not return, couldn't provide documentation. So we did have to let them go because they just wouldn't return after the 12 weeks. But totally understand.
So I think we loosen it up a little, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you. And this next one is you, I believe, also?
Yes, this one is just,
This is
so
the classification.
this
plan.
is just the classification plan. When we did the compression study for the law enforcement officers, some of those positions, with the, I want to say, I think it was with like the sergeant, the lieutenant. One of the other comments or one of the other discussions that the chief and I had, but it was never included in the resolution, was to remove 2 of the 4 entry-level officer starting base. Instead of having 4 of them, he just wanted to simplify it, just have uncertified or certified, period. So I just wanted to make that adjustment, and then also to note in here to add in the code enforcement officer that was approved to be reclassified as a W-2 employee instead of a 1099. So I just wanted to make that adjustment in there.
How do the changes in police officers compare to other municipalities? Do you know?
Other municipalities, I don't think, have different tier levels of your different type of entry level. They may have a lateral officer who is experienced, so it's very similar to the change that we're making now. So whether you're uncertified, haven't been through the academy, or you're certified and you have some years of experience.
So if they come in with experience, then they're going to come in as a officer first class then?
No, they'll still come in as a police officer. They'll be coming in as a police officer certified.
So even if they have 20 years of experience?
Yes. Unless they, so.
Okay, because that's what they already do, right? It was always more than 2, there was just this less than 2.
Correct.
So the only difference is if you've been an officer for 18 months, now it's treated the same as if you've been an officer for 2 years and before it wasn't.
Yes. There is, well, this is a poor example. Like one of the officers that we did have come in as a lateral as a sergeant, that was because the position was vacant.
Right.
And he came in with those years of experience to qualify, as a sergeant. But
I just want to make sure things like that could still happen, so that is a great
yes,
example.
yes.
Okay. I feel comfortable with this.
Yes.
We can act on this, right? I don't know what I'm doing up here, guys. All right, do we have a motion on this or any further discussion?
Motion to approve Resolution 02-2024 as written.
Second.
Okay, we'll just do a regular voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Thank you very much.
and now don't leave when the meeting ends. We have things to sign. Okay. Town clerk, do we have any correspondence? No. Okay. Reports of boards and commissions, Maryland Municipal League.
So a couple of things. I was able to attend the legislative reception last week. Unfortunately, I missed the COG meeting, but hopefully someone can report on that in a bit. It was a packed house. It was good to get to know members of the new administration and open some doors for us to pursue policy questions. The second thing, the MML Summer Conference is coming up in June. I intend to register. There's some new budget process for that? Do I have to have council approval for me to go? How's this work?
The way we changed it, and I didn't feel strongly about this at all when we did it, was that you have to front your own costs and then get reimbursed by the town, was the
Okay.
change. It felt like a solution in want of a problem to me when we did it.
Right.
So I don't, we could change it. It's just policy. It's not.
I don't mind fronting the money. What I don't want to do is then find out, oh, it's somebody else spent it in the meantime. So,
Yeah.
We always have have money in the budget for MML conference for all of the
Yeah.
council. if
I
they
don't
want.
mind fronting it and having the risk if
Yeah.
I don't go. I mean, that was part
Yeah.
of the thing. So anyway, I plan to go.
Great.
The third thing, the Eastern Shore Association of Municipalities Legislative Dinner coming up next week. I think most of y'all are going to that. All I have for MML.
All right. Council of Governments.
Had a lot of stuff. Since it's been a long time since we had a meeting. Catherine Hagar thanked us for being up to date on the e-filing for the properties. So we are one of 2 entities that were up to date.
Awesome.
Barclay, they're working on their sewer plant, or sewer project. They're 42% complete with their sewer project. Churchill, they got a new cell phone tower in July. It went in service in July, so the cell phone service through Churchill is much better than it's been in the years past. And they're also getting a new speed camera on Walnut Street that will pick up traffic both ways. Both ways. And the first time I heard of that. And they're upgrading their sewer plant. I forgot what.
Not yet.
Not yet. They're trying to upgrade their sewer plant,
They
right?
were told 3 years ago that they had
Yes.
to, but now
Yes.
they're told they don't have to.
Oh,
So
I got wrong.
they're not a
information.
priority. I'm not sure who might be, but
And Queenstown installed some speed bumps, I guess on some of the back roads, not the main street. But they did get SHA to come in and re-sign Main Street to address, evidently they have a bad speeding problem through Queenstown. So they addressed, and they also received money from the USDA to run water to the Wheatlands project out on 50. Queen Anne's County, they're actively trying to get the property, the eastern pre-release, because they want to start a tri-county detention center. So they were going to
A
upgrade.
landfill and a detention center all
Oh,
in
yeah.
one.
So they were going to, they actually had plans to upgrade the detention center here, but they said, oh, why would we want to do that when we can actively see? So they're trying to,
Has the state surplus the eastern pre-release yet?
I can't answer that, but I know they're still trying to work on getting it.
Great. What are they going to do with the detention center if they do? Did they mention that?
I asked and Todd didn't answer.
Another
me.
surplus property we can
Yeah.
negotiate for.
Also, Todd said that there were, actually not Todd, Commissioner McLaughlin said that several counties have received money to upgrade the Wissets Center in Chestertown. And up to, I think it was like $4 million. And Mr. Rhodes brought up the accessory structure
accessory
dwelling units, where people have been building small structures in their backyards, and yes, so there's no, they have a task force on that to try to do something with it. So,
Interesting.
yes.
Yeah, but I guess they're, people are building them for like older parents.
Mother
And
parents,
then
yeah.
when they are no longer around, then they're renting them
rent them
out
out.
to
Yeah.
people. No extra allocations, no, all that. So there's a task force
Yeah,
that's,
that's a state task force
Yes,
doing that,
state
right?
task force.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm hoping our planning commission is on top of that. I keep forgetting to ask
I
about
actually
that.
had
Yeah.
talked to our planner
Yeah.
and asked if she was aware, and she is aware of it, so, yeah.
Great.
Some of the early plans for Carter Farm incorporated that concept.
Did they? I don't remember that.
Interesting.
That's all I have.
Next meeting?
March 13th.
I had to look at my
It's a
phone.
quiz, Jeff. Okay. Council Vice President Johnson's not here, so Park Advisory Board, they have worked on a draft of their annual report. I do not have a final yet, but I assume I'll get that from Norma soon, and we'll get it out to the full council of just all the activity that the Parks Board engaged in, and then, of course, their recommendations for what we might do this year. Planning Commission.
Well, the planning commission did not meet last night for lack of a quorum, so they're going to reschedule their meeting for a work session, February 7th. So what they mainly want to work on is their plan for the year. Now that we've approved the comprehensive plan, they need to implement code changes to accommodate that.
Great.
So,
Are there vacancies on Planning Commission now?
yes, there's one vacancy
One vacancy.
and two alternate vacancies, I believe.
So we need applicants for the Planning Commission.
Yes.
Okay. Seems like an evergreen challenge, but a super important way to serve the town
Important one, yes.
for anyone who's interested in shaping what the town might look like. All right, reports of department heads, town manager.
I only have a couple things. We have been interviewing for town clerk. So we have 2 more tomorrow I think that finishes off who we've gone through. So hoping within the next week or so, we'll have a idea or an offer, please. And I believe it was this, on the 9th it was, I believe, the county commissioners met to make a decision on our request to amend the comprehensive water and sewer plan. So they did approve the upgrade of 1 million gallons. They have deferred their decision on the year-round stream discharge until we get some more information from MDE. So there is a meeting next week with MDE so hopefully we'll have more information and on a better path to get the citizens and the commissioners some information that they're looking for. So that's all I have right now.
Do you want anyone else to town clerk? Okay. We will now do our second citizens forum. Okay. Come on up. All right, council roundtable. Councilmember Keel.
I have nothing.
Okay, Councilmember Beecham.
Nothing to discuss.
Councilmember Worth.
Yeah, I was looking at the revisions we need to make to the code concerning cannabis, and the currently our code only allows medical cannabis dispensaries in the business park. I think it might be appropriate to allow it in other commercial areas. As it is now, I think we could not really, because of the distance that we have set in the code or whatever, we basically would not allow any more dispensaries, because another one would be too close to the one that it's already in the business park. So the only way we could accommodate additional ones would be to allow it in other commercial zones. So I wanted to try to include that in the revision if everyone finds that acceptable.
I could offer you some background on that.
Okay.
At the initial legalization of dispensaries, the state law limited the number per county.
Right.
And there was some guidance that Queen Anne's County would have one on Kent Island and one in Centreville. And so at the time, we were only ever going to have one.
Yeah.
And so then it was a matter of defining the ordinance with distances to make sure they were in a compatible area, much like the liquor store situation with distance from churches, et cetera. So that's why it's very restrictive. We were only going to have one, and we needed to find the best place for it and define it fairly.
Okay.
So, yeah, if we're going to have more, I guess we ought to figure out how we're going to accommodate them.
I wonder how much odor is produced by the dispensary also.
We'll try to control the odor as well, so.
To me, we have 2 cannabis uses in one spot and a whole lot of fervor against it.
Right.
And so I a little bit struggle with your desire to expand
I don't think
cannabis
there's
and your
any
desire
odor from
to
the
punch the
dispensaries.
current one in the teeth.
I don't think, I've
Well,
been close to the dispensary, I've never smelled anything.
So a lot of the complaints are from people who are at the Food Lion Strip Center. And so that could be GTI or the dispensary.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know as much about
I'm going
cannabis
to tell you
as
it's
you.
GTI. I've been, before it got legalized and GTI was only doing a little bit, you could barely smell it.
But they were also only doing a little bit of sales.
Exactly.
And they're now doing a whole lot of more sales.
But most of the stuff that comes into the dispensary is packaged already, so they don't have to package anything. So that's just my opinion, I've never smelled it. Of course, believe me, I live close, so.
I do know I believe when they first went in there, we had received some complaints on businesses on either side of them who
Yeah.
share the wall.
Yes.
I don't know if that has changed or gotten any better, but
So where would you?
The laws on consumption were very restrictive. And it was under supervision within the building for some products and packaged out the door for others. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, you're fine. I would not want to see cannabis dispensaries, say, in the downtown area, personally.
Okay. So just C2, C3.
I know where there's a perfect building, the old subway building, perfect place for one.
You should buy that building and do something with it.
Evidently, whoever bought it is not doing anything with it.
It's got a drive-through and everything.
Yeah.
That could be great. All
I'm
right.
gonna put a drive-through one at the old Wharton building, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I think
Buy that
the-
building, Put a drive-through dispensary right there. Perfect.
Yeah, I think that the distance requirements from residential properties would pretty much preclude anything in the
Yeah.
CBD or downtown.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
much as it would for liquor stores, so, yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's enough.
All right. I want to talk about my favorite topic for a little bit, code enforcement. Do we have a code enforcement officer? Yes. We do. I think we did do some code changes, some strengthening of our code enforcement ability. I think we need to act on things a little more, continue to enforce. And I think where there are things that are not so much code, but are a legal issue, parking too close to stop sign, those sorts of things, the police need to get better about enforcing. Okay.
And we have, so our code enforcement officer has been actually riding around, so I don't remember how many. I know last week there were about 6 or 7 letters that went out just on unhitched trailers in town, that he saw in the areas he was riding around. So it isn't just complaint-driven either anymore. So has been, or if we get a complaint, he's,
Okay.
going out and,
Is he keeping a log similar to we had before?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we know when cases are closed and whatnot. All right, well, that's all I wanted to know. Glad to hear we have someone out being proactive. Before we adjourn, is there anything else?
Close.
All right.